Welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today, I get to do these every once in a while, and they're kind of my favorite because I get to take somebody that I was too nervous to ever ask to be on the show, and then I get to eventually have them on the show, and then we get to actually meet each other for the first time over the show. So any awkwardness you guys get to hear, but it's really kind of a fun experiment. And Nomi Fry was on the show about a month ago, and she brought up our next guest, and I was like, oh, I love that guy. And she was like, you should have him. And then he reached out to me. It was all very exciting, and I'm very bad at scheduling, but we finally made it happen. He has his own podcast, Dial #Dan. There are certain free episodes on all the podcast outlets, but the juicy stuff is behind the paywall. I was just listening to the Laura Marie Shanehal's episode, which, by the way, this guy just had a birthday and it was like star-studded. I was like, and also I was in New York at the time, and I was like, where the F is my invite to this star-studded birthday gathering? But whatever. The fact is, he's here today to talk Housewives, Bravo, everything else. The one, the only, Dan Allegretto. Dan, welcome to the show.
Oh my God, Ryan, thank you for having me. I had no idea you were in town otherwise, because I invited every podcaster I knew, quite frankly.
Yeah,
and 80% of them showed up. So.
No, I was like, wow, is this a podcast conference? I was like, we had Laura, we had Nomi, we had Red Scare. I was like, wow. And then I was like, yeah, I'm not cool enough for this party potentially.
No, all are welcome. Yeah, I mean, your vibe attracts your tribe, and broadcasters kind of just, people that don't know how to shut up kind of all end up in the same room a lot.
Yeah. And you live in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm in Greenpoint.
And I think you're a photographer. You also have the podcast. But what initially attracted you to all of kind of this insanity of Bravo and reality TV and pop culture?
I just been a fan since it started. I watched OC when it first aired. I watched every Bravo show basically. I mean, Below Deck I dip in and out of. But yeah, I've kind of crafted my life so I have a lot of time to watch TV. I have no money, but it's fine.
Well, even when you watch Below Deck, it is that perfect kind of melatonin show where I couldn't really tell you the storyline week to week, but I watch it every week. It just kind of washes over me in a haze. I feel like I'm on Xanax when I watch Below Deck.
Yeah, and it reminds me of early Vanderpump, where it's a lot of really drunk 25-year-olds who are just making horrible romantic decisions, and I'm like, oh God, I kind of missed that time in my life. Yeah. And you do feel like you're on vacation a little bit because they're in these incredible locales. So I don't know.
Yeah, and then I sometimes get really picky, and I'm not I'm poor. And then I look at the boat sometimes and I'm like, this boat needs a lot of work. We need to update. I'm like, the finishings on this boat. I don't even wash my clothes. And I'm like, the finishings are bad.
I don't either. Not good at laundry. Also, why is it called the Mustique? Must?
I mean, you have to imagine it smells wild on that boat between Captain Sandy or Cat. I mean, there's got to be a lot of different smells going on.
I feel like there's a really long article maybe in the New Yorker a few years ago, because I'm blown away by the production on that show and how they're able to record so much. And I mean, the amount of footage they must sift through for their dailies is absolutely insane. There must be hundreds of people working around the clock in Santa's workshop putting this shit together.
And my favorite with Below Deck is they try to get a little Skinamax on you, because they'll do the night vision cameras of the people getting in and out of their beds. So you'll get an underwear shot or a boob shot. And
I pause the show sometimes. I'm like, what if they just forgot to censor it? Yeah, it's a little invasive, but I guess they did technically sign up for it, but it is a little much.
What are your favorite, in terms of your own personal taste, what have been the things that have spoken to your soul in terms of watching these shows? Oh my God, I am a diehard this fan, regardless of the ups and downs of production.
I mean, Roni up until the last season and the one that's about to air was kind of a game changer for me. I just thought these women were genuinely funny. You would laugh with them. You can also kind of laugh at them. And just every episode had so much nuance and kind of strange things happening that I couldn't even believe they captured. And week after week, I thought it was incredible.
Why did you react? I mean, you just had that reaction about the new Roni, which, by the way, you guys, premieres tonight, Tuesday night, the second season. What about the new Roni? Or is it just that you're so shackled to the old Roni and those women?
I may be shackled, but they're also like the lifestyle of these women, like I don't really envy or care about because they're kind of like boring, I would say. They're too young. Their values aren't like, I don't know, they're just too modern. I don't really care to see it because it's just kind of something I already understand. I mean, the Housewives originally was like a glimpse into people's lives that you weren't normally like able to access otherwise. Like OC aired because it was like behind the gates, like you get to peer into this strange world. Like the Upper East Side, even though you could walk down the street with these people, you don't know like what's going on behind like, you know, all these townhouses and these like restaurants and stuff. So you want to like get access to that. I just find it boring and no one's really unaware enough. Like I think Ramona and like Shannon kind of are both kind of missing the same part of their frontal lobe that makes them really just never care what people think
they're
about
unabashedly themselves. They're not thinking like they're just legitimately like that. I think Lisa Barlow is a tiny bit the same way as well, where they lack that part of the brain that keeps them from producing themselves. Like that's genuinely them, or at least I believe that.
I'm sure they're producing a little bit, but I think that at their age, they've also like Shannon particularly is like a master at getting sympathy from everyone, no matter what she's done in her life. And I think that's why Tamara, after all these years, is like really at her breaking point where she's like, I have to like get drunk and yell about Shannon every time there's a camera in front of me because I'm fucking pissed.
I love that Tamara has to get drunk to yell at somebody else about getting drunk too, though. I'm like, I am loaded and you're an alcoholic.
Yeah, it's strange. Well, she was on Watch What Happens Live a few weeks ago, and she said, I don't drink. And I was like, what? She's like, I only drink when I'm filming, which I do. I tend to believe she probably isn't like drinking every night because she is like into health and fitness and whatever. Yeah. But it doesn't matter because when she does drink, she acts, I guess, impatient, I'll say, and just like tries to do too much too quickly and blurt kind of everything out. And it isn't really landing this season particularly well.
Well, I think it's because that juxtaposition of Shannon and so much sympathy, you know, and actually a little bit warranted this season as opposed to the first 10 seasons. And then Tamara, like this week's episode, they sit down at a dinner over at Katie's house, and I counted it. There were 3 conversation starters, and they were all coming from Tamara. Like each one of like, hey, did you hear about Ryan in the FBI? Hey, isn't Alexis a kook? Like she was like a talk show host.
She like interrupted the dinner, like, wasn't Alexis Bellino acting kind of funny the other night? And everyone's like, oh yeah. Katie was like, Katie has a great voice, by the way. She should have a podcast. She's like, oh yeah, it was very weird. And she just falls.
Wait, don't worry, Dan. Every housewife is they're legally bound to have a podcast at some point. You have to now.
Yeah. And you're also legally bound to sue Tamara if you're a husband on the OC.
Well, that's what I mean. We got a lot of information over the weekend that Ryan Boyajian, Jen Pedrante's fiance, he brings up the FBI, but then later that night goes on Watch What Happens Live and like says to the camera, like, my Vina CBD and Eddie's company make more than any of that money that you stole from that baseball player or something. And Ryan, I thought was a lawsuit, but it turns out what I'm hearing, it was a cease and desist he sent. And then Tamara immediately had to go on socials. She had to do a video kind of apology, a retraction, a written retraction, and all of these things like, hey guys, just joshing around. What do you think when housewives and even like the men in Housewives start threatening legal action?
Oh, I like hate it so much. I think it's disgusting and pathetic. And like, I cannot believe Jim Bellino like won that lawsuit. I mean, maybe, well, here's the thing. When Tamara said that the FBI raided Ryan's house, like I thought, I just accepted that as truth. So I'm like, that must be true. It sounded familiar too. I'm like, well, there's something about the FBI. Like I went with it. And so like, maybe he does have a right to sue her because that is like pretty slanderous, but like, They just haven't raided his house yet, I don't think. So like we'll circle back.
Allegedly. I'm just gonna say allegedly, even though it doesn't work there.
It's
But I mean, by the way,
alleged.
it sounds like nowadays housewives have turned into like a true crime. Like it started off like a peek behind the gates, all of these different lifestyles, and now each season it's like, how can we one up in terms of criminal
Yeah.
activity? And so I was like, the FBI, like, we're getting Jen Shaw, Homeland Security involved again.
Yeah, Watch What Happens Live is gonna turn into like Judge Judy, where Andy's like the judge and everyone's just gonna like sue each other.
You brought up Jim Bellino, and I want to play you this clip.
Oh,
This
is it with him
Jim
in the
Bellino.
pool?
This is Jim Bellino
Yeah.
in his jacuzzi yesterday.
Roll the tape.
I have unresolved bitterness and anger towards a person, and I didn't realize that until the last 72 hours. 60 years ago, I had to sue a public figure for slander and defamation. I won that case, but what I didn't realize was I was not healed. And the reason I realized that is because just 72 hours ago, this same person, a public figure, slandered and defamed a friend of mine. It brought back really bad, unresolved issues of anger and frustration. Right now, I forgive you for the things that you said and the damage that you caused me and my family. If you have unresolved bitterness or anger towards somebody, forgive them, whether they're right or wrong, because it only hurts you to have to deal with that within yourself without releasing it to God and forgiving that person. Have a great day. Today,
Dan, do you agree that you should release your anger to God?
Yes, I just want to say also I could not hear the video. And I didn't
Oh, you couldn't? Oh my God! I thought it
I
was
watched
playing.
it. I watched it a couple hours ago, and I kind of remember a lot of it.
Sorry, I thought it was playing for everybody. It was just playing in my ears. So Dan is just sitting there, and I'm shaking my head, smiling. So Dan must think just fully creepazoid. But basically, he's in that jacuzzi. You guys heard it, and he's saying, you know, a public figure threatened my friend 72 hours ago, which I believe is Tamra, and you've got to release that anger and you've got to give it to God, you know, all to the glory. But I'm like, you successfully sued and won, so you won and then you gave it to God, and we're triggering Jim Bellino now. Like, and by the way, Jim, me and Dan are huge fans, so we don't want any heat from you, but we just
love
wanted
you,
to mention.
Jim.
Yeah, huge fans.
Probably your two biggest fans are here. I just remember his tone in that video was so confusing and like absolutely demonic that I was genuinely confused. I'm like, what is he talking about? And like, why is he talking about it? And where is he talking about it? It's like in like an infinity jacuzzi. Seems to be doing pretty well, I guess.
He's in the jacuzzi that Tamra bought him 6 years ago. So that's
fuck that tea.
you know, the whole thing is weird because there's the show that we used to just watch, and now there's the show behind the show, because all of us goofs like myself online, we're memeing it, we're speculating, we're putting like things out there. How is, like, I mean, you were watching it at the same time I was when it first aired. It's nothing like it is back like online, like what it is today. I mean, do you notice all of that stuff?
Yeah, because I actually just rewatched the first episode of the OC just for old time's sake a couple weeks ago, and it's more like documentary style, like about the families, and the women like barely even see each other. It's like unthinkable now. Like now it's like they're only eating dinner, they're only on vacation, their kids are only used to like weaponize against each other. And there's sometimes they're like around, and sometimes there are like, you know, nice, like that moment with Jen and her oldest son. Was kind of great. I mean, it's sad, but it's like that's life, and we do ultimately want to see like something real that we can like relate to. So yeah, I mean, even like when Tamra like threw that glass of wine at Jen Keough, I mean, she's been acting crazy for a long time.
That's what I was like watching like a retrospective of like Housewives. Like there's like this dark side of reality TV that's airing right now, and they sent me the episode on Housewives, and I had forgotten that Tamra is one of the first people to actually throw a glass of like liquid onto another housewife, and it
red
really
wine
opened,
too.
It really opened those gates, and I was like, man, Tamra has been in the shit from the beginning.
And it was like the first time like an accessory gay was shown on reality TV, I feel like, because they both, I feel like Jen Keough or Gina, what the I'm like having a stroke. Gina Keough and Tamara both had like their like gay best friends who were both like trying to like get them away from each other and like walk down this long, like very sloped driveway. Like, now you're a bitch, Tamara. It's like, whoa. Cool.
I mean, the gay best friend too. We had Dwight on Atlanta, and then we also had Lisa Vanderpump on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. What was his name? Remember, he lived with Lisa for a while, and then like
Cedric.
Her. Cedric, yes.
Cedric doesn't count because he's like very straight passing, and like might be. I don't know. He's like, he seems like a manipulative bisexual. Not, you know, love the bi audience, but I'm just saying he kind of had something was a little.
Yeah, we have a huge bi audience here, so shout out. It is an interesting like a trope for housewives of that gay best friend at a point, but I don't know if we necessarily do we see that anymore on how like it seems pretty insular in terms of like, if you think about OC, it's really them now just going against each other episode after episode. It starts with a fight usually and ends with a fight.
Oh, Sutton's got one.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Sutton's got a stable. So I feel like Sutton.
She's got the one that's like running her store and is her assistant and does like everything.
Yeah. Well, by the way, the store, did you know, like they're closing down the brick and mortar and they're just moving to online. So rest in peace, Sutton Concepts.
Oh, I thought they were moving to a different brick and mortar. That is truly so sad. I'm so sorry.
I think she said that just to say that, and then it was like, no, we're going online. I say that's where the big money is. Yeah,
it's a whole big world there on the computer. Yeah, Sutton's just finding out.
What if Sutton's doing the ordering herself on the computer? She's like, so coming in. I say, I can't believe it. Okay, so to take it back though, you said that first season of OC that you rewatched, it really does like. It reads like what an actual like Oscar documentary would be like, you know, to like you watch it seems like, oh wow, this slice of life and all that. And what it's turned into is like this weird Lynchian steroids kind of production that we tune into every week. And like we expect more and more out of. Like we expect scandals, we expect lawsuits, we expect people just lose their shit. Like, are our expectations so out of whack now?
They definitely are. I mean, season 1 of OC, like it's about the mortgage crisis, the housing market. It's about like the opioid crisis way before it was really. Oh, it really was. Like there's what's her name? The woman who like made the like cuff bracelets and stuff. Her daughter was so mean to her. I feel like you're watching like Pretty Wild. It was like very Alexis Nyers kind of level of just like she's so mean to her mom.
Lynn Curtin.
It was Lynn Curtin.
Yeah.
And then Lori's son, rest in peace. Oh my god, yeah.
He passed away last year.
There was a lot of like, it was about like suburban darkness, like accidentally. It's great. But now, yeah, we expect like the whole world to fucking stop. We need like something. Scandal was really fucking wild. Like I really didn't like that happen, honestly, in hindsight. It's like it was cool for like the people that watched from the beginning and were big fans. Like it was a huge moment, but then like
it was cool for the OG fans that he completely did this, but then everybody hopped on board, right?
Also, like being a fan of Ariana is like so incredibly lame. Like everyone forgot that she like genuinely sucked so bad.
Dan, what are you talking about? All right, our first fight. So you think Ariana sucked? Like you like really? Like
she was awful. She was uncool, unfunny. She tried to gatekeep like comedy classes. What's that shit called? Improv.
She takes sketch comedy very seriously. Come on, Dodie was trying. Remember the episode with Dodie at the stand-up club where they were doing the sketches and one involved Jack's
don't
penis?
Take comedy too seriously on stage. It's amazing. And ultimately, I don't love or hate any of these people. Like I admire them and respect them probably too much, but I never really enjoyed Ariana on camera. I'd be like, oh my god, here we go again.
But then what do you think, like, since this has all happened, like seeing her do all of the other things like Love Island, the sandwich shop and all of that stuff, do you think, okay, well, like she's actually earning that? And also, are you then like, what do you think about Sandoval?
What do I think about Sandoval? I mean, he's like so demented, it's like hard to even put into words. He's like a freak of nature. He's now has like Peter Pan syndrome, where before when he was with Ariana in the beginning of the relationship, he's like, I just want to have kids and like, you know, put like modeling behind stuff like that. Now it's like, you discovered Molly at 42. Like, Jesus Christ. He's pulling like a real Joel Kim Booster over there.
Sorry. Oh God, I'm sorry we're hopping all around, folks, but that's what
I know
the
it's
show
my
does.
fault. I'm erratic.
No. This is what I mean. They know, they listen. I hop all around, but like you brought up Joel. We'll get back to Sandoval in a second because I do want to finish that out. But Joel Kim Booster, you just brought up, and I needed your take on all of this because I was trying to explain to the audience, and it is funny because somebody pointed out to me, hey man, I looked up this story and then like only 2 outlets even covered it. Like TMZ or Daily Mail didn't even pick it up for the Bravo audience. We freaked out because comedian and writer and actor Joel Kim Booster, I guess, is hosting Love Hotel, which is the dating show that they're doing with Shannon Bedore and Countess Luann and others. And like they had a rap party and I guess things got out of whack. And all of a sudden he went live and cooked Shannon Bedore and then like did a series of Instagram stories. Really, I mean, just saying, I feel bad for John Jansen, which is an insane thing to say. What was your take on that? And I guess Joel, I don't know Joel personally.
I don't either. I'm the last person to judge anyone for like acting out online after like a night out, but it seems like Joel's on like a huge bender because he made this like 3-minute long Instagram reel that I believe is like still up, and he's just like, I think naked, honestly, or at least shirtless, and just kind of walking around a room. It seems like the sun is maybe coming up. I don't know. It was just like very like
after the club,
you're gonna wake up in 12 hours and be like, fuck. Well, it's weird. I have like a friend of a friend told me that just a few days ago, like a week ago, he was texting them that like him and Shannon are like good friends and she's so amazing and so great. So I was like, oh, well, that's a bit of a switch up to now completely admonish her publicly. He like went on and on. I've never been a fan of him. His personality kind of rubs me the wrong way. And like kind of going back to like the Tom Sandoval Peter Pan thing, like Joel Kim Booster in like every interview talks about like how much like sex he's having, how like much drugs he's taking. I'm like, girl, at a certain age, it's unbecoming. I'm not saying you shouldn't talk about like your life, but like it's just like getting weird. And I'm like, we don't really want to hear about it. It doesn't make you look cool. It makes you look like troubled, I would say, but no one's gonna tell him that.
Well, I mean, I think probably the higher ups at Peacock might now. I mean, like, I was just kind of thinking like of what, I mean, listen, I know I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a troublemaker. I'm pretty uncool. Like, I just kept thinking like, dude, like you signed a contract. Like, even if this is your truth, tell it to all of your friends and all of that stuff. Like the show hasn't even come out. Like, I mean, I know it's cool to stand up for your friends and things like that, but my God, like there's other people involved now. And I was just so curious what he woke up to in terms of email. And by the way, there was never an apology issued. He kind of went on to promoting his other things throughout the evening. And then I think he watched like the season finale of Industry with his boyfriend. I mean, it seemed like business as usual. So, and then the other thing was people were saying, oh, is this a PR stunt? Which I'm like, no, guys, this is not a fucking PR stunt. What kind of weird PR stunt would this even, and what would this accomplish?
This is a gay guy on GHB and cocaine having a meltdown. Like I see it quite often in my world.
By the way, show us Shannon Bedore on GHB, please, please. Like I need ketamine from Shannon Bedore.
She should have been like microdosing G in front of Tamara and just having seltzers. You know, she could have gotten away with a lot more this season, I feel
like. But I mean, I don't know. I was kind of shocking, and I was like, this is what I'm talking about is like sometimes now the show is like not even on the show anymore. Like it's now online. He acted like a housewife.
He did. That's another thing. Also, like the show, whatever, it's like Love Hotel. First of all, I didn't know it even had a host.
Me either. That was the first time I had heard about it.
Right. So he kind of like put the cat or let the cat out of the bag there. And then like, he was, I mean, I don't know what Shannon said or did. I assumed if it was racist, he would have said that. So it must have been something else. Or it couldn't have been, it wasn't racism or homophobia because I know he would have like mentioned that. So like, what could it have been?
But also like, I mean, I stand up for Shannon Bedore a lot, but like at the same time, I realize she is a very troubled person. Like two things can be true at once. Like this isn't this what, I mean, isn't she kind of, I mean, sometimes that's what she's used for is to kind of show a mess, unfortunately. And like they're betting every season how far they can take it. And that's why this season, it felt like a UFC cage match where it's like, how much can Shannon Bedore withstand? And I was like, each week, like Alexis is coming back, who's dating your ex. It really felt very different than other seasons where she just felt bad about like certain things like weight gain and stuff like that. So that part was shocking to me because I'm like, yeah, of course Shannon has issues. That's why I think she was probably even asked to be on this show.
Mm-hmm. And like a lot of the castmates for years have been like, Shannon tortures me every night. Like she just calls me every night drunk.
Oh my God, damn. Okay, so what he's referencing, I mean, we've already talked about it here, you guys, but like allegedly Shannon calls everybody on her phone, like not just Tamara.
It's so easy to imagine.
Everybody. And I've heard stories in the past, even before this season, where she does that. But like my mom did the same thing. Like, I mean, you know, she'd have her glass of wine and she would call me and she would rant and just talk about my dad or talk about like all of this shit. So I'm like, there is not a doubt in my mind that Shannon Bedore would have a couple drinks and just call people one after the other for a long time.
Yeah. It's a generational thing. It's what you do.
Yeah, I love that Tamara just got fed up with the calls. She's like, I don't have this kind of time in my schedule off season to talk to you I need to go against you now. No,
she could have just ignored the call, but instead she picked up and I don't know, got on the horn for like an hour or two each night. I don't know. It adds up over the years. It really compounds, like calcifies in your brain.
Do you think do you think Shannon now calls Vicky every night? Because I feel like Vicky would shut it down. Like, I can't go. I'm selling Kodo. I gotta go.
Vicky does the thing that anyone would do, is just like put the phone on speaker and like set it off like 3 feet away and just do whatever you're gonna do. And he's be like, yep, and just let her go. Tamara's like phone to ear. Tamara shouldn't have been phone to ear. Tamara should have been phone down and away. It's her first mistake.
I love Vicky and her talking heads this season. She'll be like, we can whoop it up. We can drink. You know, Shannon's actually not drinking right now. Well, I mean, she is drinking, but we can still whoop it up without drink. Or we can have drinks. She's not driving. Like
never gonna drive again. Yeah. But also, she sort of ignores her. They're in like a car going to someone's event, and Vicky is just like on her phone, and Shannon's talking to Vicky, and she's like, she put the wall up. Shannon's like, are you listening to me? And Vicky's like, no, not really.
No, I'm answering emails. Like, I emailed with Vicky, a month or two ago, and I was shocked to get like at the bottom of it. It's like, it says like Victoria Gunvalson and it has the Kodo insurance. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, to me, that was legendary. Just seeing her auto signature at the bottom with the Kodo insurance. I was like, God, we've been through so much with Kodo together.
What's the logo looking like these days? It's still like was it a tree? I remember.
It's like there was calligraphy involved, I believe.
Ooh.
It was real. I'm trying to find it, but it was really beautiful. I was like, this auto signature is a production in itself. And I like that she calls herself Victoria Gunvalson in the auto signature and not Vicky. Like at Kodo, she's Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here it is.
God, I'm getting chills even thinking about it. Okay, let's see.
Well, I don't know if you can really see this, but it's
okay. Yeah.
Wait, because it has Victoria L. Gunvalson, but then it has this addendum at the end, which says
something.
It says good faith, care, and loyalty to our clients' best interest. She's a certified fiduciary. I don't know. So that was it felt very Roman.
Yeah. There's something ancient about that email, I will say.
Unlocked
You've been chosen
an
to get life insurance. Yeah.
You brought up loving early seasons of Roni so much, and I always say a similar thing. And I wanted to know if you thought, for me, this season of Salt Lake has a little bit of old Roni in it for me in terms of all of the ladies talking over each other. And if you pay attention, if you watch it multiple times like I do, you could pay attention to a different character and get a different kind of series of events like you used to be able to do with Roni. Do you feel similar?
Well, I'd say the last like dinner they had, it felt like there were like 20 people at this table. I'm like, who are all these people? Like, I know they're kind of like everyone just gets to bring a friend now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, they're like, Monica Garcia's out. Please bring anybody that you think would fit with you.
Bring anyone. Yeah. I'm so glad Mary's back full time. Mary does feel special in like a Roni way, I will say. But her life it's impossible to really make sense of. Like, there's no one like her. Like, you know, there's people like I can imagine they're like Ramona, because if you go to like her Instagram, look like any night out there's like 50 of her, you know, they're
Yeah.
like replicants. So it's not hard to imagine like Ramona as a person, but Mary Cosby, I'm like, where the fuck did you come from? Like, how is your life?
I think she was
set up the way
born
it
in that
is?
closet. She was born in that closet with those mannequin heads. Like,
She's
I feel
never
like
left,
she was created in that. And that's why I think Mary, sometimes when she like talks, it's like she's talking in that closet with the mannequin heads, and no one ever talks back to her in that closet. So she just continues the conversation like they are. I don't know. Like, she'll always say one thing that I'm like, damn, Mary, you nailed it on the head. And then she'll like, the second sentence will be so bizarre and out there that I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about now.
Yeah, Mary is like it's kind of like a goldfish where she just forgets she doesn't know, like she forgets she's like filming a show or what the point of it is or who watches her or what it resembles. She'll just be like, why are you talking? Why are you with this? Why are you sitting here? What is everyone doing here? What are we doing here? And sometimes we need to get brought back to that because it gets so kind of carried away when like, you know, everyone's like ganging up on poor Whitney.
Hey, dude, that's what I said. At the end of every episode, they now the last ditch effort is just to go after Whitney. And
They have
Whitney
nothing
kind of
else to
seems
do.
so despondent, like she's like disassociated. She's like, "That's okay. I'm going to Trixie's hotel next week on a private jet to beautiful Milwaukee." I love that. Like,
oh god,
they all just like go after her, like Meredith, Lisa, and to your point about Mary. It was so great. Like, she was like the new cast member, Brittany, who I love because I just loved her in that Costco cart saying that she went Instagram official with her boyfriend. And then the
he's like, this is my friend, best friend.
This is my best friend.
So sad.
And he put
she
her
made
in
a
the car
toast
like a
to
little
bring that
child.
up. Yeah, I know.
Put her, but yeah, by the way, that didn't get pulled out of her. She made a toast. She goes, guys, big announcement, clink, clink, clink. And that's when Mary was like, I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to hear you talk about this. And I'm like, Mary, that's the show. That's literally the show. You have to unfortunately hear about this, Mary.
She doesn't have to do anything she doesn't want to do. And that's her whole vibe. Yeah.
Who is your favorite on Salt Lake? And and by the way, I want to remind people, when I say favorite, it's like, I love Lisa Barlow to death. I don't agree with her most of the time, but man, I love to watch her. I think she's fantastic.
I really like all of them. There's something last season I got a really big fondness for Whitney. I don't know. I just think she's a very unsung hero of the entire like Housewives franchise. She is like the glue that holds all of them together. It's not Heather Gay.
But Heather Gay thinks it's Heather Gay, and I think Bravo thinks it's Heather Gay as well. Like, I feel like they're giving Heather the keys to the kingdom after the receipts timeline little soundbite. Like, it's locked in stone.
Yeah, I think they had to have someone that like publicly disavowed the Mormon church to be the forefront person, just so the vibe was like easier for people to like enter and not think like, I hope I'm not watching something that's like religious, you know? Because we live in a godless society now, but like I am a little tired of like,
hey, this better not be mass that I signed up to watch.
This is a Christian podcast, right, Ryan? No, but like Lisa Barlow going to Wendy's, I'm like, give it a fucking break. I don't care that you eat fast food. Your children need nutrients.
Have you ever? Sorry, you guys. Have you ever thought about a Lisa Barlow shit? What that's like? It's got to be insane.
Probably a lot like mine, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. She's pooping like I'm an overweight man, and she's pooping exactly like me. No offense, Lisa. Shout out to Lisa. But you're right. See, the Whitney thing is controversial, though. When I say I'm a Whitney stan, people really come at me, and I'm like, how do you not see this? Like, she's trying to make Little Housewives moves, but I don't think they're so egregious, like insane, like Meredith when she tries to bring up financial records or something. Like, I feel like it's light. I just feel like it's because she has that baby voice that everybody feels just like, oh, she could be the whipping boy.
Yeah, well, people think that she's dumb, which she kind of is, but I think she's using her limited intellect to like get to the bottom of things. I think she's good at it. She's a really great kind of detective. She's like always doing like detective stuff. She's a little slippery. So
do you kind of think she's a little bit like a Doty detective, or what's her name from OC? Married to the guy, they had a candle line, the baseball player. Why? Megan King Edmonds. Remember, she's like a big detective with Vicky.
There is a Megan King Edmonds vibe. Yeah, I never really thought about that, but I didn't like Megan. There's something redeemable about Whitney because she is kind of charming and kind of like, I don't know, her voice is
I agree.
funny. I don't know. I described her and Meredith fighting as like Brittany and Sandy from Daria. Brittany like the cheerleader, and then Sandy like the leader of the fashion club. It's like it's like their vibe, and like ultimately they have a lot more in common than they think. But people think they're completely polar opposites, and I don't think so.
Dude, I want to see Joel Kim Booster party with Meredith Marks and her family because
they would both die in a bathtub. Yeah.
Scene where they're I like to think of Meredith as a chemist now, where she's like, I'm like, by the way, like I would buy a Meredith bath bomb, but now that I feel like she's like putting potions in it and making it herself, I'm like shying away from it because I'm like, there's no way Meredith knows any sort of way to make a bath bomb. She's in a kitchen with two of her kids. They're all speaking at like half the speed of any normal person. And but it was like one of my favorite scenes at the same time.
I didn't think she couldn't cook very well. So like her like boiling like chemicals in the kitchen, I'm like, there's gonna be like a FEMA level disaster in Salt Lake City if she keeps this little production line up. Oh my god, start making designer drugs with Joel Kim Booster. Yeah, probably do like, really well.
What if there's like a Breaking Bad element to Salt Lake where Meredith totally. Like is the Walter White and she's just like, why do you keep moving around houses so much? And why did your garage explode last year? I don't know.
Yeah, why are you in Ohio all the time?
Dude, Seth made a big move from Canton, Ohio, you guys, to Columbus, Ohio. I like how this guy moves around his job and also manages to still be one of the horniest house husbands that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Like he's all even in terms of like Meredith having a bat mitzvah. He's like, I'm gonna fuck you in Hebrew. Yeah, I can't wait to do it. Yeah, we're gonna. I'm like, holy shit, Seth! Like he was just crying about it, and then he brings sex into it immediately.
Yeah, well, Meredith recently said, I think it was like in like an Instagram comment, or like a Twitter, like whatever. She said that she rents her home in Utah, like peak like ski rental season, then lives in Miami, New York, LA, and Europe the rest of the year. I'm like, okay, like what? Kids, like where do they go? Like, they just follow you
same
along?
girl. I do that as well, Meredith. But well, I mean, the Meredith thing, like what I had always heard is that she primarily lives in New York. Like she's lives in New York and then like, you know, had the shop in Salt Lake, but also, you know, the show is in Salt Lake. So that works. But yeah, she's a jet setter. She has a caviar line. Of course she has to be in all of these different places.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You brought up before we started, and I wanted to tell people about this. This was like breaking news. This is from the Salt Lake Tribune. Real Housewife Mary Cosby is suing the people who ran the finances of her church. Cosby and her husband, who is also her grandpa, their Faith Temple Pentecostal Church have filed a lawsuit against the people operating the church for-profit business. And the Cosbys and Faith Temple are seeking damages totaling nearly $6.3 million. So they are suing the people that handled the money. I'll link to the article, you guys, in the show notes. But this is wild because wasn't the rumor like Mary was kind of like the one like taking in all of the money and spending it on this insane wardrobe? And now like they're suing the people handling the money because did you make heads or tails of any of this?
Well, maybe she's suing herself because that church doesn't look very big. For $6.3 million to go missing is wild. Or I guess, I mean, for Mary to have all that money anyways is crazy.
Well, who's donating? Like, how big? Like, we saw on the first season when Whitney's dad was still on it, when Whitney brought her dad, you know, who looked like Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh, and God, like, we need to get him back in the mix. I think he's legally missing probably, and my heart goes out to him, but I miss him.
I mean, he went to the church and it was, I guess it was kind of full, but I wouldn't say it was like a mega church.
Not
also,
at all.
The thing that stands out to me is like when you enter that church, the beautiful painting of Mary's mom dancing with Jesus in the clouds. Do you remember that?
I don't. I have like a vague memory, but
it's
yes, it is stunning.
And it's like the hands are up, and I'm like they're
like crumping,
down. Yeah. Jesus is twerking. It was like beautiful. Really knows the form. So I mean, that kind of article blew me away because I'm like, wait, I thought we were supposed to investigate Mary, and now Mary's investigating the church.
She's
Like, how did it switch?
She's teamed up with Whitney, and she's taking on her financial advisors at the church.
We can take this down at a fundamental level, Mary. Like,
wait, can you remind? What is the name of Mary's church again?
Mary's
Does it say in
church
the
is
article?
named, yeah, it's Faith Temple Pentecostal Church.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
It's catchy. Yeah. By the way, like Mary in the first season, I remember she had like a podcast, or like it said like it was the Mary Cosby podcast, and I listened to a couple of episodes, and it would just be two guys from the church talking, and then Mary would come on. I'm legitimately like 10 seconds. It's like, "What's up, you guys?" And then it would just go back to the two guys, and it was when remember Farrah Abraham from Teen Mom?
Mm-hmm. I think about her often. Yeah.
Oh, how could you not? She had a podcast back in the day, and she was recording, I think, on her iPhone, and she took it to go get her mail, and then just went onto the street and you just hear cars buzzing by. And then she took it one time to Disneyland and just put it on the table where they had a meal by the Pirates of the Caribbean. Like there's there's no convert. Like they're just eating a meal. Like it was before its time.
Yeah. Glad that time has passed. She's still doing OnlyFans, right? She's like successful at that.
Oh my God.
Do you gathered?
You know Tracy Morrissey, right?
The name's familiar.
Well, she does. She's in New York, like a writer, podcaster, and stuff like that. But I remember back in the day, she told me she subscribed, I think, to one of those where Farrah Abraham was doing scat videos.
Oh yeah, a friend of both of our pods, Jock Peterson, did the same and told me a lot. I won't give too much away, but I'll say there was shit and blood. Maybe not in the same video, but honestly, maybe in the same video.
Guys, Dan's Patreon is a lot. It's very similar. So make sure you sign up, not just for exclusive episodes, but you'll know his blood type at most.
I actually don't even know my own blood type.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the doctor in like 15 years.
Dude, I was listening to an inspirational book about death the other day, and it was talking about this guy's near-death experience, and he always remembered he had an O blood type. And I'm sitting there walking, going, I have no fucking clue my blood type. Like if I had an emergency right now and they asked me, I wouldn't know. Like I'm like, guess, but I guess you have to know the type to actually save your life.
Yeah, it's not O, might be A or B, and it could be
30.
Right,
it could be O, the universal.
Maybe it is O.
Okay, so we have the new cast members, Bronwyn as well, who, I mean, talk about aspirational and money, and I mean, do you like Bronwyn thus far for these first two episodes?
Episode 1, I was a little unsure, but I was like, it's a little too early to tell. And then episode 2, I was like, oh, I am locking the fuck in with Bronwyn. Like,
yeah,
her house is crazy. I want to keep getting glimpses of her life because it's a visual feast. I'll say that. Wacky kind of artwork. Her husband is pretty old, but not like too. It's not, it's like
no, he's
still got it, kind of. Yeah.
He still got it. He's still, yeah, man. He can see. He's
those eight dogs named after House of Cards characters are probably keeping him young.
What an interesting little tidbit. Because I was like, I remember, weird. Like, I think I liked House of Cards, but like, it has not stuck with me enough to even remember. I think Kevin Spacey's guy was Frank, but other than that, I don't remember any of the names. So imagine how much that show moved both of them to name all of their. And I wonder if they got more dogs just to like fill out the cast.
They might.
We haven't included this character yet.
Yeah. I like how no one can. They're all trying to kind of like nail her, or someone's trying to nail her. Wait, was it Heather? Was like, oh, but you said you didn't like Whitney, and she's like, actually, I already met with Whitney, and we squashed that beef already. And I was like, oh, she's good.
Oh yeah, they rolled the footage on that too. And this is like Heather's in that back, like clocking everything. I'm like, how? I'm sorry. Like, are we really supposed to believe that this reality Von Tease triggered you so hard that you can't trust anyone around you ever? In fact, the opening of the first episode was like legitimately like, I'm like, who directed this opening where they're talking about the sisterhood you will always come back to?
It was
I'm
like a Jerry Bruckheimer movie.
You got like, did Michael Bay get involved? You guys literally talk shit about each other every episode, and now you're in a circle. And I was like, there's no way these people haven't killed together, because why is it this intense over an Instagram account? Like, I make silly, stupid memes that have probably offended people. Could you imagine a whole season where like, oh, we must go again so bad it's good? Like, it's ridiculous for Heather to be this thrown.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also fucked up for Lisa Barlow to like, once Heather loses all this weight, like take her through the Wendy's drive-through and make her sit in the back seat with her like fries and nuggets. Ask her,
you like that, little piggy?
like, how dare she?
I don't know. I like that. That's where your head went during that. My head was just like, oh, Lisa has a Wendy's sponsorship and we have to get. And I was kind of pissed that she handed back that Diet Coke. She was like, I thought I was like, you don't waste Diet Coke like that. But I didn't think about it. Like, they made Heather sit in the middle seat
and she's clutching fries and nuggets. They're just in her lap. You know, it smells good. And it's wafting right up to her nose. And she's just like, God damn it, Lisa. What the
But it's triggering her semaglutide or Ozempic. Yeah. She's like, oh.
She's probably wearing a diaper while they're filming this. Yeah.
By the way, also, we seem to like have like, we forget that Heather Gay, like, she ended the season strong, but remember she started the season with literally pissing and puking at the same time in a sprinter van. Do you remember that shot?
Yeah, I do. I do. I was like, there's no way and I rewound. I'm like, she's pissing herself, and they're showing it, which I'm like, this seems pretty modern. I didn't know we could do this actually.
Yeah, you wouldn't see that for a season of OC. Like, Jeannie Keogh just shits at the. Well, and also Tamara pissed on cement a couple weeks ago.
Everyone's peeing this season. The OC. I don't know what is going on.
There must be some sort of email going around Bravo of like, we need one cast member to piss or shit in a scene. Like, we just need it.
Yeah.
Like Ramona actually was the one that actually put that in vogue.
Mm-hmm. Shitting on the floor and being like,
yeah.
No, that's not shit.
And I like Sonia would always like, it's what she does. It's what she does. It's not even a big deal. Like, it's what you got to let her have fun. And I'm like, wait, like little shits on the floor are like part of the fun.
You're not having fun until someone shits on the floor.
That's always been my motto. So we have like Salt Lake kind of firing at all engines go. I do want to talk one more thing about Mary, though, is that she had that scene with her son. And for Bravo viewers, we know her son, there's trouble with the law and drugs are involved. And I'm so curious because I think we're going to start seeing a more like actual human Mary than what we've seen thus far. Do you think
I didn't know her son was in trouble with the law.
Oh, yeah. Like that. In fact, if you watch the trailer, it shows a scene of like her crying with her son. I believe it's going to be about that because.
Oh, okay. I remember that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's some real intense drugs. So I'm curious how much that's going to be a storyline and how Mary actually deals with that, because watching her cry in the trailer, I was like, holy shit. Like it spooked me because it just didn't seem like Mary at all.
Yeah. I didn't know she had that dog in her, but she does. She's got a lot of dogs in her. A lot like Bronwyn's house.
Lisa Barlow, what is your take on her?
I can't help but love her. I mean, she's great. Yeah. I do think she is getting a little too aware of herself and kind of like I don't think she sees herself as equal to a lot of the other cast. Not like Mary Cosby's allowed to. I don't know why she just is, but Lisa Barlow could take it down a little.
So she like almost like a caricature of herself in a way, like Lisa Rinna got in the last season of Beverly Hills that she was on.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, Lisa Rinna I love her. She's like one of my favorites of all time. I don't remember like what it was like at the very end, but was she just kind of like calling everyone out or something?
Well, remember it was like her mom had passed away, but then she was just not, she was like a dog with a bone. She was just like screaming at Sutton, like right before Melissa Etheridge performed, right before Kyle freaked out when Melissa Etheridge went on stage.
Oh yeah, I bet she was like not. She was shitting on the floor. She was so excited.
Like, where are the Indigo Girls? Help! But like Rinna just wouldn't let go. And then with the Kathy Hilton storyline, where she's like, I know what you did, Kathy. And then sat on that weird scene with Kyle and Kathy and like was like the slash mediator.
Not
and it
okay,
was
Kathy.
so bizarre.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Not okay.
Oh, I love it though. Because Kyle like wanted someone like to help her like take fucking Kathy down.
Well, I mean, in a sense, like after this weekend, I saw a lot of stuff online towards Tamra where like people are like itching to like a Tamra takedown season. Kelly Dodd made a video. Gretchen Rossi hung out with Jen Pedranti and Katie Janela from OC. And I'm like, the Rogues Gallery are all circling, going like, let us back in. We're ready to go. Like Kelly Dodd said, we should all do a class action lawsuit. I just got off the phone with Jim Bellino, and she said many times that I suck D for money and I will sue. Like Kelly went all out on her like Instagram video, like a Joel Kim Booster vibe.
Yeah, right before we logged on to do the pod, I saw that Vicky was on like a gay guy podcast that was like she was going off about Tamra, and she's like, I just talked to Teresa Giudice, and Teresa said, do it, sue her for me. Like, do it. So they're all
why would you ever take legal advice from Teresa? First off, yeah, I love Teresa, but like, yeah, the housewife that actually went to prison, yeah, like take the advice, sure, yeah,
and like might go back again. I don't know. There's
oh god, well that's what you're. It's like it's blasphemy if you bring up that like people are like suspicious of Louis. Which, by the way, you guys, one of Louis's companies filed for bankruptcy last week. Digital Solutions.
Oh, is it the okay? There's like another, or there's like an app he was trying to make or something.
I think that is, there's a bunch of, he has his hands in a lot. He says a lot of different things, kind of like Ryan Boyajian from OC. A lot of stuff is happening. Yeah. But yeah, I love that like Vicky got Teresa involved. Like
she's invoking point, Teresa. Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know what your take is on Andy Cohen, but at some point, like, how is he not just miserable? Like he created all of this and now, like, I just wonder how many he has a block. Does he he can't give out his number anymore? Like, imagine like how much a weekend is ruined by housewives talking their shit. Or even like, I know he doesn't produce Love Hotel, but like, did he get brought in on the Joel Kim Booster thing? What do you take? What is your take on Andy?
I mean, Andy is just like built differently. I've met him briefly like twice. He just, I don't know, has like an endless amount of energy and also just like doesn't dwell on things. So I think he can actually take on a lot. And it doesn't he just doesn't linger. He's just like, whatever. Like, he just doesn't, I don't think he actually cares that much. Also, I feel like when Joel Kim Booster was on Watch What Happens Live, Andy was like kind of getting like fed up with Joel's antics. He was like getting very short and kind of like, you're starting to like disrespect the network. That was the vibe I was getting. Because he was like,
well, until Joel said he was in a threesome like a week ago or something. And then Andy was like, hell yeah. Woo!
Yeah, woo, hell yeah, brother. Yeah,
no, but I remember what you're talking about. I do remember like Andy shooting a look at Joel when he was like really going off. And I guess you've got to be kind of careful what you act like. You can't be honest on that show because it still is a representation of like the entire network.
It's propaganda for the Bravo machine. You kind of have to like bow at the altar a little bit, which is fine. That's
why I like Natasha Leone was on last night. On Watch What Happens Live, and they brought out Sonia, I think, and she had no clue who she was.
Right. Also, I didn't know who Natasha Leone was. She looks completely different. She's like dropped her like New York accent, like almost completely.
Yeah. But it was fascinating. Well, also, but a fascinating reminder that a good portion of the world has no idea what we're talking about right now. Like, there's something safe in that. I kind of like that too. Like, I don't want to, like, that's what you were mentioning earlier about Scandival. It brought so many new people in, and all of a sudden hopping on this storyline. And it was interesting of people that like hadn't even watched the entire run of Vanderpump Rules, all of a sudden giving their takes on Rachel Leviss.
I think also like having to explain to people that don't know anything about it, like they're like, can you explain Scandival to me? I'm like, actually, no, I can't, because you don't deserve it. And there's not enough time in the fucking world. You'll never get it unless you watch one of the greatest shows, reality or non, ever created.
Wait, do you have more time? You're not in a rush, right?
No, I have more time.
Okay, cool. What did you think of The Valley this season?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And I think season 2 is going to be like insanely good. It has to be. How could it not be?
I mean, we need it to be, but every time I like have high hopes for something, it usually lets me down. But also what scares me is that I don't think anybody involved, I don't think they thought it was going to be a success. So part of me is a little nervous that they're paying attention to the press of, like, say, Vanderpump Rules, where they saw that people were pissed that Lala and Sheena weren't nicer to Ariana or more loyal to Ariana towards the end. And now I have this prediction that we're going to see this like way too hard of girls supporting girls season, because that's what they read the majority of the audience were talking about. Like, I'm really curious. Like, I just hope that they haven't read their own press and now they're like, we've got this and we're going to do this. And they're bringing Sheena and Lala in. I feel like, man, just let it go. Let it go and let Jax do what he does.
Yeah. I think luckily there's enough people on that show. They're like from Vanderpump, and that just like, they can't help but get in the way of themselves. And they will not be too like, PR trained or media trained or whatever. Cause like Jax can't help himself. Brittany kind of, I mean, she's very nice, but she also like she's put herself in situations that aren't flattering a lot of the time. So like, she's also made for the show. Kristen, I mean, no explanation necessary.
Yeah. I mean,
Jesse is like spiraling out of control, and I don't think he can really help himself either.
Well, not since the ayahuasca journey. It changed him.
He put a beanie on, was like, I want to make this work. And she's like, absolutely not. I'm serving the divorce papers even sooner now.
I like, in that scene, he's talking about Michelle, like, looks like she actively hates him. And he comes back and he's like, I'm a changed man now. And he's looking over the Sunset Strip with the beanie on, going,
beanie was so long.
I figured it all out. And they keep cutting to Michelle, and it looks like she hates him more and more as he keeps speaking. And
the beanie keeps getting longer and longer and starts draping over the balcony. It's just like, I actually have to run to the car and get these papers out of the trunk. You've been served.
That's why the Valley of Vanderpump, really great companion pieces, because you had Jesse doing ayahuasca, Jackson in the back day tried Reiki. This season of Vanderpump, we had Sandoval doing scream therapy. Like, you know, it's like, not, we don't talk about the actual therapy. We're like, I'm going to scream this out, dude. Oh, what up, Lala? What's going on? I was just doing my scream therapy. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think Brittany's GERD is cleared up now that Jax isn't so much in the pictures. I think she's not going to be shitting on the floor this year, which is unfortunate, but she might still. You never know. All that beer cheese.
Imagine doing an interview where she literally said, she goes, I haven't been sick since January in my tummy. Like she said, like,
it's like, February. My friend had beer cheese from Jax or Schwartz and Sandy's and threw up 12 times. And she doesn't even drink, so it was from the beer cheese.
Wait, this is from Jax's Saloon, right? Not Schwartz
or Jax's Saloon. Yeah, sorry.
Wait, the beer cheese gave her like E. coli or something?
Yeah.
Wait, was it Nomi? Was it Nomi?
No. It wasn't Nomi. I won't divulge who, but I don't think you know my friend, but Nomi would have definitely included it, or tried to at least.
The beer cheese. I've had the beer cheese there, and like
how is it?
It tastes like the Trader Joe's beer cheese, to be honest. Like, and I was like, are they using the Trader Joe's beer cheese? But they bring it out on like this huge, like the presentation's like way out of whack, because they bring it out on it's like a 30-foot wood plank with like these, like, it's just way too big for the amount of that they give you. And then it was like, I think $19 for the beer cheese. And I like to keep my beer cheese at like a $12 range. Yeah. So it was intense.
Sounds like medieval times.
But overall, for watching Vanderpump Rules from season 1, what do you think about Jax's journey on the show to now? Like, have we, could you even call it a journey?
I don't think he's gone that far. I think him going to rehab is kind of huge. He discovered he had PTSD, which I'm like, from what?
And like bipolar.
From being monogamous.
Wasn't it bipolar as well?
Yeah, but who isn't? Everyone's bipolar too, I think, in this modern world. I'm sorry, it's not that special.
Shout out BPs.
Yeah. It's also crazy. Like, this is so Vanderpumpian that he gets out of rehab probably early and then gets like served divorce papers, and apparently it's on camera. So like,
well, then the rumor, Dan, was that
we're so lucky
they had done it. Sometimes. They had done it like a month before, but then they had to film it for cameras, so they redid it because the first time was off camera. And I'm really hoping that's not true.
Me too.
I'm like, imagine the darkness of like reenacting getting served divorce papers. Like, imagine the dark, and then they're thinking, oh, that's what we do. That's our job. Like, that's
it's very
dark.
cruel and unusual. I don't know. Something about that doesn't sound right, but I don't know. Maybe.
Brittany recently got air sculpting, I think. And she keeps having to promote it on her Instagram because I think she got it for free. And she's like, Brittany's revenge body, cool sculpted. And I just feel always so bad when I look at those posts because I'm like, why didn't you just pay for it? Like, you don't have to make any of these posts. And also, revenge body, you don't need to get just go live a happy life. Like, you're already doing the best getting away from Jax. Like, what? You don't need to do this.
I mean, she's living in an Airbnb. You know how expensive those cleaning fees are, and how much she's shitting on the floor. I mean, come on.
He doesn't have GERD-related issues anymore, Dan.
All right, she's GERD-free. She's GERD-free. Yeah, and then Kristen got cool sculpt, whatever. She got sculpted by something, and it was like while she was trying to get pregnant. I'm like, why did you even bother doing this right now?
Did you see? Well, and her and Luke get engaged this season. We saw on Instagram.
Yeah, very excited for them.
I can't wait to see, like, was there a Fleetwood Mac song playing in the background? Was there, like, I can't wait to see what that's all about. And what did you think about Janet this season? Because Janet, like, is an OG friend of Sheena's.
Well, I think Kristen opened up one of the 2 refrigerators in her living room and, like, saw the engagement ring and was like, oh my God, that's like my dream scenario for engagement. I think they're on a boat or something. Janet, kind of, I don't know. I mean, I think that she's pretty smart. I think she's probably the smartest one there.
Yeah.
Or, because I think that
I think she really pays attention to the minutia and what people are all talking about.
Yeah, she can get like the gay guy spun out of control very quickly and like have him kind of do her dirty work, but then he like also is pretty crazy too. Like, I don't know. It's a bit messy, and I kind of like just don't remember like all that happens. Like, my memory just like kind of gets deleted a lot, like Mary Cosby's, where I'm like, okay, I have to watch it like 3 times for it to stick. Like, yeah, I know.
We see like it really is one of those things where it just kind of disappears. Like, there was a whole season of Dubai that I just like, I watched the entire season, I think, like, and it just like,
well, that show sucks ass and nothing happens. They just like fight on Twitter about like nothing.
Well, but see, now that to me, I believe is a little staged for like attention because they weren't getting anybody watching the show. So I almost feel like sometimes those like little fighting moments are kind of like, let's kick up the dust so we can get people talking about it. But like, that's very different than the Joel Kim Booster, dark, QAnon theory.
Yeah. I just remember Janet being pregnant and her husband being nice and handsome. And like, that's kind of it.
Taking it back to the OC. The OC this season. We have Tamra, obviously. Shannon is miserable. We do know that John Jansen makes an appearance, according to the midseason trailer. What is your take on Alexis coming back and how hard she blames it on the edit, but like really everything out of her mouth is Johnny J.
Yeah, I mean, Alexis has always been like a very bizarre person that isn't like
people forget that. People don't like seem to really forget what she was like the first time around.
She's a bit of a quirk burger. She's not here to like, societal norms, or actually she so does, because she was like, if you're gay, you're going to hell. Like, in the early stages, like, I love my hairdresser, but he's not going to heaven. Fast forward to now, like all her kids are trans. But yeah, she's just a little erratic, and I think that like that sticks out now on Housewives because they're kind of like a very well-oiled machine where it's like, we're doing this, then we're doing this, then they're not just like showing stuff. It's like, here's the dinner, here's the fight, here's this, and then it's like Alexa's just like, oh my god, and she's like out of control, and just like apparently she talked for 45 minutes and like didn't say anything of what she was upset about, and that's why Tamara eventually like screamed her like, what happened? Like she's just kind of a little out to lunch. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm glad she's around. I don't know, it's fine.
Yeah, like I mean, God, we're potentially going to get a John Jansen, Alexis Bellino wedding season next if she comes back.
Shannon's going to drive her car into that reception or wherever.
Oh my God, that's the
period.
dream. Imagine like,
It's the
does
dream.
anybody like before we wed this couple, does anybody have anything that they would like to say or that part of the wedding? And usually like Shannon Bedore just charges in with Archie. Like Archie goes feral and like fully just like for the jugular to Johnny J. And also Johnny J, how is his reputation? Like, aren't we harming his reputation more this season than we've ever have in any other seasons by just like continually talking about this?
I mean, Alexa's saying that like his whole life is ruined and like everything is like gone. She said something so extreme. I'm like, John Jansen isn't famous for being like an artist or like he's just a guy that's like kind of a part of this show that only certain people watch. He chose to be on it, you know, and he didn't like no one cares about his reputation. It's so irrelevant. So that's why it's frustrating to keep hearing about it. It's like, no one fucking cares, Alexis, like at all.
Yeah. I mean, like the only person that cares is Alexis like that. I mean, it seems obvious. So it kind of is like a really funny recurring gag now where it's like, yeah, nobody really cares, man. Like you're making this more of a thing again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Like Emily and Gina, I feel like Gina keeps like, there's like a mysterious thing about whatever happened with Travis's ex. And we keep dancing around it, but she literally made him move like their domicile, like made him move to a new place.
Yeah, I don't know. She did hint a little more than usual last week, if I remember correctly. And it does seem like the ex-wife is like absolutely like involved in their life too much. And she just kind of had to like physically get away from Matt. So she wasn't getting involved in like the kids. So it does suck. I do like Gina. I love hearing a Long Island accent on the show. I don't really understand it either. Why would you just get a bigger house together or something?
And now she's like redoing, like,
why would you redo that fucking shithole?
He's redesigning that. He's like knocking down walls and stuff like that. I'm like,
there's only like two walls in there. You knock it down. The entire it's just an open concept. The entire abode.
Okay, then finally Heather and Terry Dubrow. We had a great little hot mic moment with a shot of a hallway where Heather says, "Do not admonish me on camera. Do not do that." Which I love. I mean, I was like, "This is fantastic. A real marriage. It's a real marriage here."
Yeah. They're a great couple. I love Heather Dubrow. I do like to see the other side of her that's not so like pristine, but also like seeing her having this like that little perfect life. Who cares? Like, yeah.
I like, because I'm like, okay, fantastic parent. I think she's doing everything. Like, but like, yeah, man, like I want to see you care about this. Like, and the fact that she cares so much about a paparazzi accusation, like, who the fuck? I assume every one of these ladies calls paparazzi on themselves all the time, and I don't care. Like, I love that Disneyland photo where they looked like they were posing for paparazzi. I thought it was hysterical.
Yeah, it's good. It's also like, that's why I was like, maybe it's not staged because it's so staged. I think Heather would be smart enough to be like, maybe we should make it look a little more natural. But like,
what if their
natural
way of being just looks staged all the time?
It kind of does, yeah.
I love that.
I mean, Terry has this like always like this new like horrible like black leather jacket. I'm like, I want to see all of them in like a museum.
Well, no, because you don't understand, Dan, because during the day he is a surgeon, but at night he's a detective.
Yeah.
Like so he's
him and Whitney Rose. Yeah.
We're going to take all the cabals down, Terry. I think it's amazing. And then, sorry, as we wind down here, I just wanted to go really quickly back to Scandival and Sandoval, just because it's like kind of Jack's adjacent. But you brought up this good point of somebody in their 40s, like really discovering like mushroom life and like freedom and mortality. Because I think with Tom, mortality like got into play all of a sudden of like, what am I leaving behind, dude? And watching him in that pool last season, like flirting with those like, you know, nearly underage girls talking about Burning Man. Like there were so many like things, like, I don't know, like where do we see Sandoval going from here? Like, I mean, luckily, like he has this money, like he's getting paid for this because most people would just completely burn out and fade away. Where does Sandoval go?
Is it just the restaurant business in some capacity? Like, I don't know. I mean, I hope he can do this forever. I hope
like, what if he eventually goes back to bartending eventually?
Like, he could be an amazing star tender. Yeah. Has he done Dancing with the Stars? No, he could do that. Save all
No,
that
he
money.
wanted to. He said he wanted to. And by the way, I will say,
Poor Sheena. We gotta get her on the show.
Well, I mean, I first off, somebody like argued with me and then because I was like, at this point, put Sheena on Dancing with the Stars. She's talked about it so much. It'll be funny in a clip package. All the Bravo fans will tune in. I think that'll be good for the show. And they said, oh, Sheena is definitely not famous enough to be on Dancing with the Stars. And I was like, bullshit.
What?
Bullshit. Yes, And also, I will say, even though, I don't support Sandoval in a lot of ways, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing him on Dancing with the Stars either. He
would win. Yeah, he'd easily win. He'd mop the floor.
Imagine Michael Jackson night at Dancing with the Stars and him. I just want to know his song choices because he he appreciates music so much. I would love to know, maybe his band plays a live track while he dances.
Oh, do they pick their own music? I thought they just did the salsa. I've never seen the show.
Well, they do oh, tonight we're dancing the cha-cha, but I believe they get to pick their own songs.
Oh, okay. Like a salsa remix of the Lumineers or something. I don't know what
Mumford and Sons. This is Tom dancing the cha-cha to LCD sound system. Yeah. That's amazing. So, Tom, we don't know where he's going to go, but we do know there's going to be another season of Vanderpump Rules, which just cracks me up because at this point they truly I always say, you're not supposed to still be friends with other people that you worked with at a bar in your 20s.
Yeah, that's so fucking true. I didn't know that we were promised a new season. Is that recent news?
Yeah, they said, they said, yes, it is confirmed. They're looking at a late fall start. So I don't know if that means at the end of October, beginning of November. And allegedly they said everybody is coming back.
Oh, okay, right. The last thing I remember hearing is they were filming, but it was with a lot of quote unquote new people, which I'm like,
they said those are two separate things. Is that they're trying to do a spinoff where I just don't think lightning can strike twice in that way. There's just no way.
No, but maybe, but probably not.
Yeah. What is the last thing that has brought you unadulterated joy in terms of watching any of these shows?
Oh God, I don't know. Try to think. I will say that it was early on. I'm just such a miserable person. You can hear it in my voice. I remember laugh. It was early on the season of the OC where Emily cracks me up a lot. I think she'd be so fun to hang out with. And it was something about when Shannon crashed her car and she was talking from the perspective of Archie and she's like, Shannon, we just hit a house. And there was something about her delivery. And I was like, wait, she's mad funny. That was great. That just came to the front of my mind. Yeah.
I think she's finally comfortable to have those one-liners. She even had some in that past week's episode that I thought was great. And she's really into espresso martinis this season. And I'm like, keep feeding Emily the espresso martinis. It's only going to serve the show.
A floor shitting elixir. Yes, give it to all of them.
Okay, so we have Beverly Hills coming up this week. We have the new Roni, which will you still be watching even though you don't like it?
God, this is the only thing I might ever protest in my life is the second season. I'm gonna I'll probably watch the premiere, but after that, I don't want to support this bullshit because it signals the end of the world to me. We just need.
I'm glad you're taking a stand.
The ladies, I'm taking a stand. I'm standing up for what I believe in. I don't do it a lot, but.
This is it, man. And then Sunday we have the return of Real Housewives of Potomac, and we just got a scene today, and I've already watched the first episode, but I can talk about this now. It starts in a very bizarre way because Karen Huger had a DUI incident, and this is I think one of the first times I've seen this. They do a reenactment.
Wait, what? How?
They do a reenactment of the DUI. They do a reenactment of a car. It's so bizarre and so potentially unnecessary, but it is. I kept thinking, did they just do a reenactment of Karen Huger's DUI? Because it even says reenactment on the bottom of the screen. And I'm like, oh, who did? This is amazing. Who did this?
Do they rent a Maserati and have a woman that looks like Karen drive the car? I'm really trying.
No, it's blurry, and then the lights are fading in and out, and then you see a tree and a screech and all of this. It's truly bizarre work. And then Karen, it's then all the girls are like talking, and then all of a sudden now we're supposed to believe Giselle and Karen are like buddies. Giselle's like, I'm worried about you, Karen,
I'm so sure. I've always loved their kind of back and forth, how like quick, how deep they get really quickly, like this kind of like mother-daughter sister thing they have going on, where they love each other, but they also like hate each other deeply.
I always thought it was like Batman and the Joker. Like they like created each other, but they need each other. Like
Totally.
They're each other's greatest hero and villain.
Yeah, because Giselle doesn't have Robin this season, so she has probably no friends. So yeah, just have to figure something out. I wonder if
Robin knows she's not on the show anymore.
I don't know. Yeah, probably not.
Okay. So
we'll find out on our Patreon. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, we have a huge week on Bravo, you guys. And then lastly, what other shows are you liking? Doesn't have to be reality TV, like in terms of pop culture. What are you digging? What are you hating?
I just watched the season finale of Industry before we recorded, and it is
you guys,
good.
They just got picked up for another season. This is a show that you should be watching that you're not. It premiered during the pandemic, and it's just really, really good. So you guys can burn through. You can binge that show.
I love the latest season of Emily in Paris. I don't know what happens. I don't know who's on the show. It's just like a perfect Saturday afternoon. You put it on, you're dicking on your phone and computer. It's just on. It's gorgeous. Some breathtaking like footage from Italy this season, which I thought was fantastic. I've been getting back into Antique Roadshow.
Dan, you got swept away by Emily in Paris?
Absolutely swept away.
Okay.
Will not return to shore. Completely swept away. Yeah, that's pretty much it as of late, I think,
Is there anything that you can't stand in pop culture right now? Are you over the Charlie XCX brat?
Have been. Absolutely have been. Yeah. God, I hate so much. Ryan, I don't know what I even didn't do another
listen,
hour.
And this might be, I hope that to end, but like I was talking about Chapel Roan and then Bowen Yang from SNL this week, and I just got so annoyed by every piece and component of this and the discourse around it. And somebody online called Bowen like a gay cishet man, which I thought was so like and meant it for real. And I was like,
oh my God, what? Wait, yeah, I just did the math.
I was like, wait, what? That doesn't make sense. And then it got like 144,000 likes. I'm like, nobody, like, what are you guys fucking smoking over there?
No comprehension whatsoever. I mean, Chapel Roan, like, oh my God, like I get everything she says is like correct, like fans are insane and weird and inappropriate. I would just think maybe like one little bit of like footage of her getting harassed by a fan or something. I personally have not seen anything come across.
Wait, Dan. Wait, so what you're saying is you would like a little proof?
I would like some ocular proof that like she's getting hounded around the clock, because I'm like, I feel like she could walk around.
I would love to see some proof.
Some proof. Also, she's not doing drag. She's just like a woman that's probably doing it. It looks like kabuki more than drag. Like you're not like impersonating your own like whatever. Don't even start.
I like that she calls it a project though. This is her project because her name's not Chapel. Like I like that it's like I was. Yeah, I was like, this is my it's not a podcast, this is my project. I like that. It makes it seem way cooler. But yeah, I mean, I believe it, but I like that you need proof of it. But then Bowen Yang went on to SNL as another like internet sensation. The
Mudang. Also, I don't care for Mudang either. I think she's too slimy, and I don't like how she's always getting hosed down and her surroundings are very dry. Like release her into a sanctuary.
Mudang is going to start gaining weight, and you guys better stick by Mudang because Mudang is not always going to be this tiny. Like
Mudang is going to swallow an infant in 1 second, and then you're like, oh no, I have to throw away my Mudang merch.
Yeah. Shout out Harambe. Come on, are you kidding me? But like Bowen went on, did this piece that was kind of like, I mean, it's fucking SNL, like whatever, like who cares? But it was like poking fun at like Chapel saying that she, was taking a step back for her mental health. And it was just simply doing that. And then everybody was like up in arms about Bowen doing this. And I just thought, this all just seems so lame. Like
it's very lame. And then people took it a step further, like, no, it's a metaphor because she's in a zoo and we're all watching her. I'm like, no one's really watching her. Again, I have not seen any proof of her even being in public, not on a stage. Sorry.
Okay. So
I haven't seen it. It might exist. I just have not seen it.
But also it's SNL. Like what? Like, yeah. I mean, it's who, I don't know. Anyway, that was very frustrating for me. So I just didn't know if you had a take on Chapel, but
I have a take on SNL, whereas if you don't sit your ass down and watch it for an hour and you're just reacting to little clips online, I don't think you should be allowed to comment, because like if you actually torture yourself to watch this unfunny bullshit for an hour, you probably just wouldn't have an opinion, because you don't want to like give more attention to something that fucking sucks completely. So,
but that's all we do now is just watch little clips, and Scandal. Like everybody, we just hop on band. Anyways, sorry, now I'm getting crotchety old man. You guys,
me too.
Dan Allegretto, I want you to go check out Dial #Dan. There's certain free episodes, like I said, online, but the good stuff is behind that Patreon wall. And I'm a huge fan of Laura Marie Shanols, who just did an interview with you on
That's
that.
a free one.
Patreon.
It's a free one.
It's a free one as well.
Yeah,
but
so check it out.
But Laura is one of the reasons why I started this show and being on Sup back in the day, and truly one of the best to do it. So, but there's, he'll go on talk rants himself, other people, but go subscribe to that Patreon if you can. Go follow him on Instagram. I'll put all your socials up there as well. But dude, thank you for spending so much time with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you had a good time, because I
had
know
a great
this is
time
weird when we don't really know each other, but I really appreciate it.
No, it's and next year you'll have to come to my birthday. I'll be sure to invite you.
Yeah,
and I'm going to invite myself back on your podcast in a few months.
Dude, please. Yeah, and conveniently. By the way, next year, watch out. He's not going to have a birthday party. I already know. He's like, sorry, we didn't have one.
Yeah.
Dan Allegretto, ladies and gentlemen.